Hello, everyone. Welcome to a Friday, everyone. And it might be some people's Thursday night. I know if anybody's still up in the UK, so welcome to Thursday night, going into Friday. And my name is Melanie Wood, founder of Speaking Styles. Welcome to all the new members who have come into the group of late in the last couple of weeks. I'm really glad to be able to have you here. And jumping on this morning, because after putting my post around, we know what people were doing around self-care for themselves in this time, then I wanted to just talk a little bit more on that and really about having more of that self-care for yourself in this time. And it was something that actually came up yesterday with a client. And she, one of my clients, she's in Melbourne. She's got a very high-end, high-pressure job down there. And we've been working together since January. So when I was in Scotland, we were Zooming. And hey, Tom. And over the time where she just started a new job was right in the midst of when COVID-19 started. So we had another session yesterday, and she's finding it really overwhelming, really stressful, pressurized, because going into a new role is, a real high-end academic, high-end title that she has, overseeing so many departments, so many members of staff, and then not being able to do a lot of that in person. So then having to do a lot of those meetings on Zoom, and she was just finding it really overwhelming with, all of the kind of expectations she'd put on herself to how she was going to do this role. And then obviously a lot of things changed. And before we got into me helping her and guiding her with her team and using that technology to do that, then we really had to look at, well, what has she been doing around her own self-care? And really it turned into she hasn't had time. She hasn't made time to do any of those things. And so we really had to work out within her day, within her week. She's now at home. She has family, but they're grown up. How to really start to put a routine for her to really start to access that self-care, so that when it comes to a lot of these other pressures, she's done enough work on herself that a lot of those things will then reduce in terms of the way she's feeling about it. And with some of my clients, they're not always just business owners. They are actually people in managerial and leadership roles. And I have a wealth of experience dealing with teams and being in a managerial role for quite a number of years. So I love that aspect of really being able to help people with that and really help in how they can connect and delegate and really be able to run their teams really efficiently as well. So I love the fact that I was able to give her really sit down, look at her day, look at her week, look at her family, look at what she could do to really start to bring in self-care, asking her things around what did she love, what does she love to do that she hasn't been doing for a while, and knitting was actually one of them. So I've put some things in place for her to really put that self-care into her life, and then I helped her around how she could then be able to process and structure and do all of those things that she needs to do in her role. And one of the things that I had said to her to do that I've really started to put in place for me, and today's live is number one, I want to talk about self-care. And thank you to everybody that really shared yesterday so much of all the things that you're doing for self-care. I appreciate your sharing, and I loved seeing everybody's different things that they've been doing to be able to manage while we're all going through this. And one of the things yesterday that I shared with my client, and I wanted to share with all of you here today, is that I've always been someone that has done a lot of self-care. But when we get busy, we tend to maybe cut corners and think, I haven't got time for that. I'm just going to sit and I'm just going to binge watch on Netflix, which is fine. I'm not saying that that's wrong or anything like that. But for a lot of people that commented yesterday is that you really want to have this time to be able to do a lot more self-care, and I think that's absolutely wonderful. And it's something for me that coming out of all of this is that I want to actually become a different person. I really want to break a lot of different habits that I got myself into. So something that I have done is I've literally, in the kitchen on a whiteboard, literally the time that I get up, I'm putting down meditation, walk on the beach, journaling. These are all things that I did used to do apart from walk on the beach if I wasn't near where the beach was. But everything that I'm listing out in my daily routine, none of it is work. I have a different diary for that. Everything is around what am I doing to make the most of my time at home, but what am I doing for me? So reading, journaling, some cooking, baking, all of those things that I actually really enjoy to do that I haven't had time to do. So we then looked at her routine and said, where can you go for a walk? Where can you do your knitting? What's some things that you can do at home with your family? So we really worked out that routine. And, number one around today's live, around that self-care, and for a lot of you, you've already got a lot of that going on. But for anybody who is maybe struggling a little bit with that, I'd really say is sit down with a routine and really take small steps. Another thing with the client yesterday was, she's someone that's really busy in her head, takes a long time to surrender and relax into doing anything she loves to do. And I can super relate to that. I'm someone like that as well. And what I say to people is that if you're someone that your mind's super busy, you really struggle with surrendering and maybe just relaxing and it being okay. And what I say to people is that, for her, she loves knitting. So that's your rest time. You're doing something for you. It doesn't need to be that you're doing absolutely nothing. And sometimes when we have those inner voices, it's like we maybe have to keep one of those inner voices busy, but you get to have a break, but you're doing something that you enjoy. So for me, it's doing things like, starting to cook and starting to bake, doing all of those things. It's still keeping my mind occupied, but I'm getting to do something that I enjoy that's not necessarily anything to do with work. So really number one is around, if you're struggling, sit down with a routine of where you can start to add one thing at a time in of what you can do for you. Keep it really simple as well. Then number two, I want to talk about if people have heard of Mel Robbins, and Mel Robbins wrote the book around the 5-second rule. And I've heard about this, I think probably, last couple of years, and I've listened to it, but I haven't really implemented it into my life. And prior to just when COVID was starting to hit off and I was struggling to, find a place to live, because I was a professional house sitter and lost all of those. And I was really going through a week of massive panic and survival and fear. And the place where I was staying had Mel Robbins' book 5-Second Rule, and I probably read about half before I left. And when I came down to the Gold Coast and I have somewhere really amazing to stay, I started to think, there's something in that 5-second rule that I'm going to start to embed. And as much as I am an early riser and get up, I still in the past would snooze. So I would put my alarm to maybe 10-15 minutes before I really wanted to get up to give myself time to get myself ready to get up. And about 2 weeks ago, I decided, I'm going to do that 5-second rule that Mel Robbins talks about. As soon as my alarm goes off, I go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and get up. And it's been absolutely life-changing, right? And I read her book with all these testimonials and I thought, yeah, right, really? But I have to say it has been a game changer. And now, 2 weeks later, I don't even do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I just get up. And so what I've started to do is starting to do that with certain things in my life to change those habits while we have some time at home. But it might be quite scary of certain things that you might not want to have that alone time, or you really want that connection with people. So starting to go, right, I'm about to do something different or about to do something for myself. I don't want to feel guilty or shameful or any of those things for doing it. Just go, right, I'm about to do something different. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go. So if anybody does follow her or has read the book or haven't, go on and research her and look into it, because it has been absolutely amazing to really just change from potential work to your own time. Maybe just out of, you might get some feelings around anxiety, confusion, overwhelmed, fearful around these times, is that go, right, I've now had some of those feelings. How am I going to switch over and be able to do something for me, and do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I definitely would say it's been an absolute game changer for me, to be able to do that, because I have been so used to being busy. So as much as I do a lot of self-work, there's still areas where I would be like, I'm not going there, and now I'm really putting a lot of those things in place and really doing so much inner work, because I do want to become a different person out of all of this. I want to be able to have more time for myself. So look into the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins. Let me know in the comments if anybody has read her book or followed her, or they've used this before. And then number 3 is around, is your mind just full? Is it just constantly busy, constantly thinking of what can I do next? How can I make changes? Is it all about work? Or is it mindful? As in, you're putting in that self-care, being more mindful about, do I need to do all of these things right now? Can I take a step back and just put one thing at a time, take one step at a time? And again, I say that is again having that client yesterday where, she said, my mind is just, overactive. I've just got so much going on that I actually can't switch off to doing anything that I enjoy to do. And again, I can super relate on the busyness and constantly feeling like I need to do something. And now we're all at home and you've got a business, you might just feel like, oh, I'm just going to jump on the laptop and do this. I'm just going to do X, Y, and Z. And it's like, well, no, have a bit of a start time, a finish time, then it's you time. So really start to structure out your day so that you can make time for yourself. Let me know if in the comments for anybody that let me know a little bit more about your self-care. Do you have a routine? Reach out to me if you just want a little bit more help with that or a little bit more discussion on it. I'm here to help anybody in any way I can. And again, by doing 1, 2, and 3, something that I taught my client yesterday, and she having some times around the compassionate communication with yourself and others. So when we're not doing enough time on ourselves, when people do things that irritate us, we sometimes then go into judgment. We get triggered on our own past emotions, our own current emotions. So when we don't do our work, people will irritate us a hell of a lot more. Judgment will come out of it. All of these different things, anger, frustration. And I was talking to her yesterday, and one of the things that even before COVID, I'm not a shopper. I don't like going to shopping malls, shopping centers. It's just something that I don't particularly like. And now once a week going shopping, I actually have been experiencing that I'm actually dreading going shopping. Just because then you're near people, nothing is on the shelves that I need to buy. And so I said to my client yesterday, my big test is today I will be going shopping, and I'm really going to reframe that I love going shopping. This is an opportunity to be able to get all the things that I love, to eat, to nourish myself, but also to be able to do some more baking at the weekend. So that's a big test for me today, to really go there with more of love than fear or anger and frustration, all of those types of things. So let me know if there's been an area of your life where you just got more heightened around something that you didn't particularly like, and it's actually increased even more because of the situation that we're in. Let me know in the comments. So that's really for today's going into the weekend, making sure that you are taking time for yourself, really looking at your routine of where can you put some things in for you. Having a look at that 5-second rule to just make some changes, and then just checking in with, is your mind constantly on the go? Are you able to do some things to really just be able to be more mindful around yourself, more mindful of others as well? And I am aware that, everybody's individual circumstances are very different, and I super respect that and acknowledge that. Again, I'm here if anybody just wants to chat chat. I'm not saying it's business related, just if you want to chat, I'm here for anybody that does want to reach out, and and just have a bit more of that kind of human connection, and I'm always happy to share anything that I'm going through as well. So have an amazing Friday, everybody. Have an amazing into your weekend, and I will touch base again with everybody next week. And have a super weekend, everybody, and do some lots of lovely self-care. And I'll see you all later. Bye.